हेलो एवरीवन, कैसे हैं आप सब लोग। एंड वंस अगेन वेलकम टू आवर चैनल बीट द नीट। और आज हम लोग करने जा रहे हैं ऑडियो बुक। तो बेटा, मैंने आप लोगों को प्रॉमिस किया कि मैं न्यू एनसीईआरटी की भी ऑडियो बुक आप लोगों के लिए प्रिपेयर कर दूंगी, ताकि जो बच्चे अभी बोर्ड्स में हैं और मे बी इन फ्यूचर जब आपका नीट का सिलेबस चेंज हो जाएगा आगे आने वाले सालों में, उस टाइम पर ये ऑडियो बुक्स आपके रिवीजन में बहुत हेल्प करने वाली है। लेकिन जो बच्चे अभी बोर्ड्स में हैं तो उनके लिए तो ये ऑडियो बुक बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि वो लोग अभी इन्हीं न्यू एनसीईआरटी बुक से पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं। तो इसलिए मेरे लिए फ़र्ज़ बनता है कि मैं आप सभी के लिए ये ऑडियो बुक्स को फटाफट से रेडी कर दूं। लेकिन अभी मैं उन चैप्टर्स को पहले बना रही हूँ जिन चैप्टर्स में मेजर चेंजेस आए हैं, बीच बीच में से टॉपिक्स गायब हुए हैं या कुछ एडिशन हुआ है। तो इन सारी चीज़ों को देखते हुए मैं पहले उन्हीं चैप्टर्स की ऑडियो बुक आप लोगों को प्रिपेयर कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि बाकी पहले वाले चैप्टर्स जिनमें सेम टू सेम है वो तो मेरे पास ऑलरेडी बनी हुई है, आप लोग वो वहाँ से रिवाइज कर सकते हैं। लेकिन जो चेंजेस होने के बाद में चैप्टर में रह गया है वो ऑडियो बुक्स में आपके लिए अभी तैयार कर रही हूँ पहले। तो जो बच्चे कह रहे हैं कि मैम हिंदी में भी ऑडियो बुक्स प्रोवाइड कर दीजिए, तो हिंदी में भी बना दूंगी, लेकिन अभी पहले एक बार ये वाली कंप्लीट करने के बाद मैं आप लोगों के लिए मैं हिंदी की भी बुक बना दूंगी, और अगर हो सका तो मैं पैरेलल भी स्टार्ट कर दूँ। एंड जो बच्चे मेरे चैनल पे नए हैं, जिन्होंने अभी तक मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है, तो भाई जल्दी से कर लीजिए, क्योंकि आप लोग को यहाँ पे बहुत सारा एजुकेशनल कंटेंट मिलता है। हर टाइप का वो कंटेंट मिलता है जो आपकी तैयारी को बूस्ट करता है। मोटिवेशन हो, माइंड मैप्स हो, ऑडियो बुक्स हो, एक्सप्लेनेशन हो, क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस हो, या 1 मिनट शॉर्ट्स हो। तो आप लोग इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब रखिए, ताकि आगे आने वाले टाइम में नोटिफिकेशन अगर ऑन होगा तो आप लोगों के पास में हर सारे वीडियो का नोटिफिकेशन पहुंचता रहेगा। तो आज जो मैं आप लोगों के साथ करने वाली हूँ दैट इज़ द यूनिट 2 स्ट्रक्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इन प्लांट्स एंड एनिमल्स। इसमें जो चैप्टर 5 है उसमें काफ़ी चेंजेस आए हैं, तो इसलिए मैं इसकी ऑडियो बुक आप लोगों को आज प्रोवाइड करूँगी। टेलीग्राम चैनल भाई जिन्होंने नहीं ज्वाइन किया है तो बेटा जी प्लीज़ ज्वाइन कर लीजिए, क्योंकि वहाँ से आप लोगों को बेनिफिट होने वाला है बहुत सारी पीडीएफ्स का, जहाँ से मैं आप लोगों के साथ में सिर्फ शेयर कर सकती हूँ पीडीएफ्स। कोई भी मुझे शेयर करनी हो तो मैं वहीं से शेयर कर सकती हूँ। तो आप लोग वहाँ पे ज़रूर ज्वाइन रखिए, क्योंकि उसमें क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस के भी आते रहते हैं, उसमें नोट्स भी आते रहते हैं, माइंड मैप्स भी आते रहते हैं। तो ऐसी चीज़ें आप लोगों को मिस नहीं करनी चाहिए। तो लिंक मैंने डिस्क्रिप्शन में दे दिया है, आप लोग फटाफट से वहाँ जाइए और जल्दी से ज्वाइन कर लीजिए। तो चलिए आज स्टार्ट करेंगे, लेकिन मैं ये पोर्शन भी आप लोगों के लिए रीड करूँगी पहले, जो ये थोड़ा सा दिया हुआ है 2 पेजेस में। तो ये रीड करने के बाद में मैं आप लोगों का चैप्टर 5 स्टार्ट करूँगी। तो बिना देरी किए शुरू करते हैं, लेट्स स्टार्ट। आई होप कि आप लोगों को अच्छा लगता होगा कि मैं आप लोगों को दिख रही हूँ और ऑडियो बुक आप लोगों की बन रही है, मैं कैसे रीड कर रही हूँ। कहीं कहीं पर भी फ्लो पर पे अगर कुछ गड़बड़ हो जाता है तो मैं कोशिश करती हूँ कि मैं उसे करेक्ट कर दूँ, बट अगर ऐसा हो जाता है तो आप मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में बता दिया करिए, मैं डिस्क्रिप्शन में वो करेक्शन डाल दूँगी। तो चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं। यूनिट 2 दैट इज़ स्ट्रक्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इन प्लांट्स एंड एनिमल्स। The description of the diverse forms of life on Earth was made only by the observation through naked eyes or later through magnifying lenses and microscopes. The description is mainly of gross structural features, both external and internal. In addition, observable and perceivable living phenomena were also recorded as a part of the description. Before experimental biology, or more specifically physiology, was established as a part of biology, naturalists described only biology. Hence, biology remained as a natural history for a long time. The description by itself was amazing in terms of detail. While the initial reaction of a student could be boredom, one should keep in mind that the detailed description was utilized in the later reductionist biology, where living processes drew more attention from scientists than the description of life forms and their structures. Hence, this description became meaningful and helpful in framing research questions in physiology or evolutionary biology. In the following chapters of this unit, the structural organization of plants and animals, including the structural basis of physiological or behavioral phenomena, is described. For convenience, this description of morphological and anatomical features is presented separately for plants and animals. इनके एक्सप्लेनेशन भी आप लोगों के पास आने वाले हैं बहुत जल्दी। Catherine Isau was born in Ukraine in 1898. She studied agriculture in Russia and Germany and received her doctorate in 1931 in United States. She reported in her early publication that the curly top virus spreads through a plant via the food-conducting or phloem tissue. Dr. Isau's Plant Anatomy, published in 1954, took a dynamic developmental approach designed to enhance one's understanding of plant structure and an enormous impact worldwide, literally bringing about a revival of the discipline. The Anatomy of Seed Plants by Catherine Esau was published in 1960. It was referred to as Webster's of Plant Biology. It is encyclopedic. In 1957, she was elected to the National Academy of Sciences, becoming the sixth woman to receive that honor. In addition to this prestigious award, she received the National Medal of Science from President George Bush in 1989. When Catherine Esau died in the year 1997, Peter Raven, director of anatomy and morphology, Missouri Botanical Garden, remembered that she absolutely dominated the field of plant biology even at the age of 99. Wonderful. नेक्स्ट अब आपका चैप्टर शुरू होने वाला है. इस चैप्टर में से बहुत सारी चीज़ें हटा दी गई हैं, जैसे इस मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ स्टेम्स, मॉडिफिकेशन ऑफ रूट, मतलब बीच बीच से बहुत सारी चीज़ें इन्होंने हटाई हैं. तो चैप्टर अगर समराइज फॉर्म में आपके पास रहेगा तो आप इजीली रिवाइज करेंगे. और अगर आपके लिए ये वीडियोस हेल्पफुल होते हैं तो इसे लाइक ज़रूर करिएगा बेटा, और अपने दोस्तों के साथ में ज़रूर शेयर करिएगा, क्योंकि आप लोगों का सपोर्ट ही है जो मुझे मोटिवेट करता है दिन पर दिन ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा आप सभी के लिए वीडियोस बनाने के लिए. राइट, तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं. चैप्टर 5, मॉर्फोलॉजी ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट्स. The wide range in the structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us, even though the angiosperm shows such a large diversity in external structure or morphology. They are all characterized by presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and fruits. In chapter 2 and 3, we talked about classification of plants based on morphological and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variations in different parts found as adaptations of the plants to their environment. Example, adaptation to various habitats for protection, climbing, storage, etc. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stems and leaves. They may be bearing flower and fruits. The underground part of flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground forms the root shoot system. And here is the figure 5.1. सिंपल प्लांट का फिगर है, देख लीजिए. फ्लावर, फ्रूट, स्टेम, लीफ, नोड्स, इंटरनोड्स. आई थिंक सबको पता होगा कि नोड से ही आपकी लीव्स ओरिजिनेट होती हैं. एंड हियर इज द बर्ड, प्राइमरी रूट, सेकेंडरी रूट. ठीक है. सो 5.1, द रूट. In majority of the dicotyledonous plant, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root, which grows inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. roots. The primary roots and its branches constitute the taproot system, as seen in the mustard plant. Figure 5.2a. In monocotyledonous plants, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system as seen in the wheat plant. In some plants like grass, monstera and the banyan tree, roots arise from parts of the plant other than the radicle and are called adventitious roots. Figure 5.2 से अभी मैं सारे डायग्राम दिखाऊंगी. The main functions of the root system are absorption of water and mineral from the soil, providing a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food material and synthesis of plant growth regulators. Here is the diagram. This is the taproot, this is fibrous and this is adventitious roots. I hope now it is clear to all of you. आगे बढ़ते हैं. So now here is the regions of root. The root is covered at the apex by a thimble-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cells of this region are very small, thin-walled and with dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. The cells proximal to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongation. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone, proximal to region of elongation, is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermis cell from very fine and delicate thread-like structures called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. चलिए diagram देखते हैं इसका 5.3. ये आपका हो गया रीजन ऑफ मैचुरेशन, यानी कि ग्रोथ हो रही है वो इस रीजन में हो रही है। ऊपर वाला रीजन जो है वो ये वाला इलोंगेशन वाला रीजन है जहाँ वो इलोंगेट हो रही है, एंड ये रीजन जो है जहाँ पे आपको रूट हेयर्स देखने को मिल रहे हैं ये रीजन ऑफ मैचुरेशन होता है। ठीक, यहाँ टिप पर आप जो देख रहे हैं दैट इज द रूट कैप, एंड ये जो है आपका रीजन ऑफ मेरिस्टेमेटिक एक्टिविटी, यानी कि इस रीजन में सबसे ज़्यादा सेल डिवीजन हो रहा है। ज़्यादा एक्सप्लेन नहीं करूँगी मैं अभी, क्योंकि मैं आपके लिए एक्सप्लेनेशन का अलग वीडियो बनाऊँगी। जल्दी से आप लोग मेरे 100 के करा दीजिए बेटा, अभी तक नहीं हुए हैं, एंड आई एम ऑलवेज ट्राइंग टू गिव यू द बेस्ट मटेरियल, सो प्लीज सपोर्ट मी इन completing my first 100K. So now the 5.2, the stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis, bearing branches, leaves, flowers and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The stem bears nodes and internodes. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called nodes, while internodes are the portions between two nodes. The stem bears buds which may be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flowers and fruits. It conducts water, minerals and photosynthesis. Some stems perform the function of storage of food, support, protection and of vegetative propagation. 5.3, the leaf. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apical meristems and are arranged in an acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. ये आ गया आपका लीफ का स्ट्रक्चर, लेकिन उससे पहले हम पढ़ेंगे. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole and lamina. 5.4a. Lamina, stipule, petiole, axillary bud, and this is the leaf base. And may bear, the leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structure called stipules. In monocotyledons, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem partially or wholly. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinus. The petiole help hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf blades to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf surface. The lamina and leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which is known as the midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and act as a channels of transport for water, minerals and food materials. The shape, margin, apex, surface and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. 5.3.1 वेनेशन. जो 5.4 में आपको डायग्राम दिख रहे हैं वो वेनेशन के हैं. The arrangement of veins and the veinlets in the lamina of leaf is termed as venation. When the veinlets form a network, the venation is termed as reticulate. 5.4b, ये वाला दिख रहा है, देखी होगी ये वाली लीव्स अपने. When the veins runs parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as parallel. ये देखिए आपको सी वाले डायग्राम में आपको पैरेलल लाइंस दिख रही है सारी मिडरिप के, तो वो आपका पैरेलल वेनेशन है. Leaves of dicotyledons plants generally possesses reticulate venation, while parallel venation is a characteristic of monocotyledons. Important line लग रही है, ये important है in fact. Next आपका है 5.3.2 types of leaves. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when incised the incisions do not touch the midrib. When the incisions of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking it into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called compound. A bud is present in the axil of a petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axil of leaflets of the compound leaf. The compound leaves may be of two types. In a pinnately compound leaf, a number of leaflets are present on a common axis, the rachis, which represent the midrib of the leaf as in neem. In palmately compound leaves, the leaflets are attached at a common point, that is at the tip of petiole as in a silk cotton. 5.3.3 Phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is a pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. This is usually of three types: alternate, opposite and hold. In alternate type of phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each node in alternate manner as in China rose, mustards and sunflower plants. In opposite type, a pair of leaves arise at each node and lie opposite to each other as in calotropis and guava plants. If more than two leaves arise at a node and form a whole, it is called hold, as in Estonia. This is Estonia, दिख रही है गोल गोल घूमी हुई. This is China, एक इधर. गुआवा में दोनों ही एक ही साइड में है. 5.4 The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot wherein the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. Internodes do not elongate and the axis get condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. The arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the apex gets developed into a flower or continues to grow, two major types of inflorescence are defined: racemose and cymose. In racemose type of inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow. The flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession. 5.7 देखिए डायग्राम racemose inflorescence. In cymose type inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower, hence is limited in growth. The growth are borne in a basipetal order. 5.5 The flower. The flower is the reproductive unit in angiosperm. It is meant for sexual reproduction. A typical flower has 4 different kinds of holes arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel, called thalamus or receptacle. These are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are accessory organs, while androecium and gynoecium are the reproductive organs. In some flowers like lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth. When a flower has both androecium and gynoecium, it is bisexual. A flower having either only stamens or only carpel is unisexual. In symmetry, the flower may be actinomorphic, that is radial symmetry, or zygomorphic, that is the bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into 2 equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Example: mustard, datura, chili. When it can be divided into 2 similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, it is zygomorphic. Example: pea, gulmohar, bean, cassia. A flower is asymmetric or irregular if it cannot be divided into 2 similar halves by an vertical plane passing through the center, as in canna. A flower may be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous when the floral appendages are in multiple of 3, 4 and 5 or 5 respectively. Flowers with bracts reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel are called bracted and those without bracts are ebracted. So यहाँ पे 5.9 में देख लीजिए, अभी ये डायग्राम बाद का है, पहले दे दिया है, मैं बाद में भी दिखा दूंगी आपको. Based on the position of calyx, corolla and androecium in respect of the ovary on thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. Figure 5.9. In the hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position while the other parts are situated below it. The ovary in such flower is said to be superior. Example: mustard, china rose and brinjal. If gynoecium is situated in the center and the other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus almost at the same level, it is called perigynous. The ovary here is said to be half inferior. Example: plum, rose, peach in epigynous flowers, or the margin of thalamus grows upward enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it. The other parts of the flower arise above the ovary. Hence, the ovary is said to be the inferior, as in flowers of guava and cucumber and the ray of florets of sunflower. ये मैंने इसलिए छोटा किया ताकि मैं आप लोगों की दिख रही होंगी तो आपका कहीं वहाँ पे कुछ भी हाइड ना हो. 5.5.1 Parts of a flower. Each flower normally has 4 floral holes: calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. First one is calyx. The calyx is the outermost hole of the flower and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamocephalous or polycephalous. Sepals united to gamocephalous and the sepals free to it is polycephalous. Next is corolla. Corolla is composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insects of pollination. Like calyx, corolla may also be gamopetalous, petals united, or polypetalous, petals free. The shape and color of corolla vary greatly in plants. Corolla may be tubular, bell-shaped, funnel-shaped or wheel-shaped. Estivation. The mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in floral bud with respect to other members of the same whole is known as estivation. The main types of estivation are velvet, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. When sepals or petals in a whole just touch one another at the margin without overlapping, as in calotropis, it is said to be velvet. If one margin of the appendage overlaps that of the next one, and so on, as in China rose, lady's finger, and cotton, it is called twisted. If the margins of sepals or petals overlap one another but not in particular direction, as in cassia and gulmohar, the estivation is called imbricate. In pea and bean flowers, there are 5 petals. The largest standard overlaps the 2 lateral petals, that is wings, which in turn overlap the 2 smallest anterior petals, that is keel. This type of estivation is known as vexillary or papilionaceous types. ये देखिए डायग्राम, velvet, twisted, imbricate and vexillary. 5.5.1.3 Androecium. Androecium is composed of stamens. Each stamen, which represents the male reproductive organ, consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. Each anther is usually bilobed and each lobe has 2 chambers. The pollen sacs. The pollen grains are produced in a pollen sacs. A sterile stamen is called a staminode. Stamens of flowers may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. When stamens are attached to the petals, they are epipetalous, as in brinjal, or epiphyllous when attached to the perianth, as in the flower of lily. The stamens in a flower may either remain free, polyandrous, or may be united in varying degrees. The stamens may be united into one bunch or one bundle, monodelphous, as in China rose, and 2 bundles, that is didelphous, as in pea, or into more than 2 bundles, polydelphous, as in citrus. There may be a variation in length of the filaments within a flower, as in salvia and mustard. 5.5.1.4, that is gynoecium. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of the flower and is made of 1 or more carpels. A carpel consists of 3 parts, namely stigma, style and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part on which lies the elongated tube, the style. The style connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually at the tip of the style and is receptive surface for pollen grains. Each ovary bears 1 or more ovulated attached to a flattened cushions-like placenta. When more than 1 carpel is present, they may be free, as in lotus and rose, and are called apocarpous. They are termed silk-carpous when carpels are fused, as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develop into seeds and the ovary matures into a fruit. Placentation. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is known as placentation. The placentation are of different types, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central and free central. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral structure of the ovary and the ovules are borne on this ridge, forming 2 rows, as in P. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial, as in China rose, tomato and lemon. In parietal placentation, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on peripheral part. Ovary is 1-chambered, but it becomes 2-chambered due to the formation of the false septum. Example, mustard and argemone. When the ovules are borne on central axis and septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, the placentation is called free central. In basal placentation, the placenta develops at the base of ovary and a single ovule is attached to it, as in sunflower and marigold. 5.6 The fruit. The fruit is a characteristic feature of flowering plants. It is a mature or ripened ovary developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovary, it is called a parthenocarpic fruit. Generally, the fruit consists of a wall of pericarp and seeds. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When pericarp is thick and fleshy, it is differentiated into the outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp and the inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is known as dew. They develop from monocarpillary superior ovaries and are one-seeded. In mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, a middle fleshy edible mesocarp and an inner stony hard endocarp. In coconut, which is also known as dew, the mesocarp is fibrous. Here you can see in the diagram. Epicarp, mesocarp, seed, endocarp. Now the 5.7, the seed. The ovules after fertilization develops into seeds. A seed is made up of a seed coat and an embryo. The embryo is made up of a radicle, an embryonal axis, and one, as in wheat, maize, or two cotyledons, as in gram and pea, monocot and dicot. 5.7.1 Structure of a dicot seed. The outermost covering of a seed is the seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and the inner tegmen. The hilum is in a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum is a small pore called the micropyle. Within the seed coat is the embryo, consisting of an embryonal axis, two cotyledons. The cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserve food materials. At the ends of the embryonal axis are present the radicle and the plumule, figure 5.14. In some seeds such as castor, the endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food storing tissue and called endospermic seeds. In plants such as bean, gram and pea, the endosperm is not present in mature seeds and such seeds are called non-endospermous. Next is 5.7.2. डायग्राम आप सबने देख लिया होगा. सीड कोट, हाइलम, माइक्रोपाइल एंड यहाँ पे कॉटिलिडन्स देख लीजिए, प्लूम्यूल देख लीजिए एंड रेडिकल. प्लूम्यूल जो है आगे चल करके शूट बनाएगा एंड रेडिकल आगे चल करके रूट बनाएगा. पहले रेडिकल आता है, बाद में प्लूम्यूल आता है. Structure of a monocot seed. Generally monocot seeds are endospermic, but some, as in orchids, are non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as the maize, the seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores food. The outer covering of endosperm separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer called aileron layer. The embryo is small and situated in a groove at one end of the endosperm. It consists of one large and shield-shaped cotyledon known as scutellum and a short axis with a plumule and a radicle. The plumule and radicle are enclosed in sheath which are called colluptile and coleorhiza respectively. 5.15 ये है इसका डायग्राम. नेक्स्ट आता है आपका 5.8 सेमी टेक्निकल डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ अ टिपिकल फ्लावरिंग प्लांट. ठीक है, पहले इससे पढ़ेंगे फिर फैमिली पढ़ेंगे. Various morphological features are used to describe a flowering plant. This description has to be brief in a simple and scientific language and presented in a proper sequence. The plant is described beginning with its habit, vegetative characters, roots, stems and leaves, and then floral characters. Inflorescence and flower parts. After describing various parts of plant, a floral diagram and a floral formula are presented. The floral formula is represented by some symbols. In the floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C for corolla, P for perianth, A for androecium and G for gynoecium. G के नीचे अगर लाइन है तो that is the superior ovary, अगर ऊपर लाइन है तो that is the inferior ovary. And this symbol is for the male and this is for the female. And this is for the bisexual plants. This is for the actinomorphic. आप सभी देखते जाएं यहाँ पे. And this percentage for zygomorphic nature of flower. Fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within bracket and addition by a line drawn above the symbols of the floral parts. A floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement and the relation they have with one another. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by a dot on the top of the floral diagram. Calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium are drawn in successive holes, calyx being the outermost and the gynoecium being in the center. Floral formula also shows cohesion and addition within parts of a holes and the between holes. The floral diagram and floral formula in 5.16 represent the mustard plant family Brassicaceae. देख लिया Brassicaceae का फॉर्मूला. बताऊँ क्या है आपको? ज़ाइगोमॉर्फिक, बाइसेक्सुअल, कैलिक्स कैसे हैं आपके 2+2, कोरोला कैसा है 4 है, एंड्रोशियम 2+4 है, सुपीरियर ओवरी है एंड 2. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट आ जाते हैं फैमिली सोलेनेसी 5.9. It is a large family commonly called as the potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropics and even temperate zones. Vegetative characters, plants mostly herbs, shrubs and rarely small trees. Stem कैसा होता है? Herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid or hollow, hairy or glabrous. Underground stem in potato, that is Solanum tuberosum. लीव्स कैसी होती हैं? अल्टरनेट होती हैं, सिंपल, रेयरली, पिन्नेटली कंपाउंड, एक्सटिपुलेट होती हैं, वेनेशन रेटिकुलेट होता है. इसमें डायग्राम देख लीजिए यहाँ पे आप 5.17 में. ये क्या है? फ्लावरिंग टिप का है. ये किसका है? बी वाला आपका, ये बी हो गया आपके फ्लावर का हो गया। सी किसका है? एलएस ऑफ फ्लावर हो गया। डी आपके स्टेमन्स हैं। ई आपकी कार्पल है एंड दिस इज द फ्लोरल डायग्राम। फ्लोरल कैरेक्टर्स पढ़ लेते हैं। इनफ्लोरेसेंस, सोलिटरी, एक्सिलरी और साइमोस एज इन सोलेनम। फ्लावर कैसा होता है? बाइसेक्सुअल, एक्टिनोमॉर्फिक। कैलिक्स, सेपल्स 5 यूनाइटेड persistent velvet estivation. Corolla, petals 5 united velvet estivation. Androecium, stamens 5 epipetalous. Gynoecium, bicarpellary, obligate, placed syncarpus, ovary superior, bilocular, and placenta swollen with many ovules exiled. Fruits berry और capsule. Seeds many endospermous. Floral formula ये आप देख लीजिए। फ्लोरल फॉर्मूला अगर आपको याद है तो आराम से आप फ्लोरल डायग्राम बना सकते हैं और उसके पूरा ये जो डिस्क्रिप्शन दे रखा है ना आपको फ्लोरल कैरेक्टर्स, ये आपको लिख सकते हैं आराम से। तो इसलिए फ्लोरल फॉर्मूले आपको याद होने चाहिए। इसका इकोनॉमिक इंपॉर्टेंस है। मैनी प्लांट बिलोंगिंग टू दिस फैमिली आर सोर्स ऑफ फूड, टोमेटो, ब्रिंजल, पोटैटो, स्पाइस, चिली, मेडिसिन, बेलाडोना, अश्वगंधा, fumigatory, tobacco and ornamentals, petunia. Summary देखते हैं। Flowering plants exhibit enormous variation in shape, size, structure, modes of nutrition, lifespan, habit and habitat. They have well-developed root and shoot system. Root system is either taproot or fibrous. Generally, dicotyledonous plants have taproots, while monocotyledonous plants have fibrous roots. The roots in some plants get modified for storage of food, mechanical support, and respiration. The shoot system is differentiated into stem, leaves, flowers, and fruits. The morphological features of stems, like the presence of nodes and internodes, multicellular hair, and positively phototropic nature, help to differentiate the stems from roots. Leaf is a lateral outgrowth of a stem developed exogenously at the node. These are green in color to perform the function of photosynthesis. Leaves exhibit marked variation in their shape, size, margin, apex, and extent of incisions of leaf blade, that is lamina. The flower is a modified shoot meant for sexual reproduction. The flowers are arranged in a different types of inflorescences. They exhibit enormous variation in structure, symmetry, position of ovary in relation to other parts, arrangement of petals, sepals, ovules, etc. After fertilization, the ovary is modified into fruits and ovules into seeds. Seeds either may be monocotyledonous or dicotyledonous. They vary in shape, size, and period of viability. The floral characteristics form the basis of classification and identification of flowering plant. This can be illustrated through semi-technical description of families. Hence, a flowering plant is described in a definite sequence by using scientific terms. The floral features are represented in the summarized form as floral diagrams and floral formula. So finally the chapter is done. कंप्लीट हो गई आपकी ऑडियो बुक एंड आई होप कि आप लोग इसे ज़रूर सुनने में बहुत एंजॉय करेंगे एंड आपके रिवीजन को ये फास्ट करेंगे। ध्यान रखें जब भी आप इससे रिवाइज करें तो अपनी साथ में या तो इस वीडियो को देखें, अगर नहीं तो आप सिर्फ सुन रहे हैं तो एनसीईआरटी लेकर के बैठिए। इससे आपका फ्लो नहीं टूटेगा, आपको चीज़ें ज़्यादा समझ में आएंगी। और दूसरी चीज़, जो आप अगर अपने आप पढ़ने बैठते हैं ना तो आपका टाइम ज़्यादा लग जाता है क्योंकि आप सोचते सोचते कहीं और ही पहुँच जाते हैं। तो इसलिए अगर आप ऑडियो बुक के साथ में सुनेंगे तो आप वहीं पे वहीं कंसंट्रेट रहेंगे, आपका कॉन्सेंट्रेशन बिल्कुल भी नहीं टूटेगा और चैप्टर जितना ड्यूरेशन का आपके पास में ऑडियो बुक का है ना उससे कम टाइम में ही कंप्लीट हो जाएगा क्योंकि इसमें मैंने आप लोगों के साथ में बहुत सारी बातें भी की हैं। तो टेलीग्राम चैनल जल्दी से ज्वाइन कर लीजिए और मुझे जल्दी से 100K सपोर्ट करिए कि ताकि मेरे जल्दी से 100K हो जाएं, ताकि मैं आप लोगों के साथ में और ज़्यादा अपनी जर्नी को शेयर कर सकूं। और मेरा एक और चैनल है बीट्स ऑफ लाइफ, जिसमें मैं अब अपने इंटरेस्ट की चीज़ें, जो मैं पढ़ाई के अलावा आप लोगों की वीडियोस बनाने के अलावा जो और चीज़ें मैं करती हूँ वो भी मैं अब अपलोड करना स्टार्ट कर रही हूँ। कुछ वीडियोज़ मैंने ऑलरेडी अपलोड कर दिए हैं जिसमें आपको ब्लॉग्स देखने को मिलेंगे, कुकिंग भी देखने को मिलेगी, स्टोरीज़ भी मिलेंगी, मोटिवेशनल भी मिलेंगे। तो थोड़ा सा मिक्स टाइप का चैनल होगा तो आप लोग उसको देख सकते हैं, एंजॉय कर सकते हैं। तो सी यू सून इन द नेक्स्ट वीडियो। टिल देन जस्ट स्टे ट्यून्ड विद मी। बाय बाय एवरीवन।